Alright, this video is basically for those people that like buying free things. Also free. They like cheap things, very cheap things. They like just anything cheap. Once they see that the thing is cheap, they just want to pounce on it. But do you know that you can be imprisoned for that? Do you know? Okay, now let me tell you. In law, there's what we call receiving stolen property or unlawful possession. It simply means that when a property is being stolen and you receive the property or you buy it, it can be inferred that you knew that the property was stolen and then you received it, and as such, you can go in for that. You can be remanded in prison for that. So what this means is that before you get a property, there are some things you have to put into consideration. I know you like cheap things. I like cheap things too, but don't let cheap things land you in trouble, okay? So before you buy something that you think is very cheap, there are some things you have to put into consideration, and one of them is that if the price of that thing is outrageously lower than the price it was gotten for, you can easily infer that, oh, something is really wrong with this property. Yes, you can infer. Also, if the property or the stolen item was sold to you at an unreasonable hour, which is not a market hour, it was sold to you maybe in the night and it's not even in the market, in a different place entirely, maybe at one hidden place. Come on now, you can infer that the item was stolen, or there are some things to that item that the person is not disclosing to you. Okay, so these are the few ways that you can infer that the item was stolen. And if eventually you receive the item or you buy the item, despite knowing that or having a clue that the item was stolen, you can be remanded in prison for the offense of receiving stolen property. Okay, and that aside, we equally have what we call recent possession. It simply means that when an item has been stolen, the court will infer that the person that stole the item should be in possession of that item. Okay, so it's like anyone who is with the item within the time the item was stolen can either be seen as either the person that stole the item or the person that have received the item knowing fully well that it has been stolen. Okay, let me give you an instance. Let's say, for instance, a robbery occurs here now. They stole a television set, and within 2 hours, they saw it with another person. So the court will infer that the other person that they saw it with is either the robber or the person that received the property or bought the property from the robber, knowing fully well it was stolen. And that person can go in for that. He can be in prison for that. If found guilty, he can be in prison for that, unless such a person will be able to prove to the court or give an account, a very reasonable account, that the property of how he got the property. You understand? So that's just it. We all should be careful at the way we buy cheap articles, buy cheap things. I know everybody likes cheap things, but don't land yourself in trouble. Quite a lot of persons have been remanded in prison just for this particular offense of receiving stolen property. Okay, a lot of persons. So this is a true life story. Okay, someone a dry gin was stolen. Okay, it was stolen from the owner, and the person that stole the item sold that gin far below the price because he doesn't know the value of it. He sold it to another person far below the price. I think 10% lower than the price. Well, the matter got to court. The court was of the view that the person that bought that gin from the other person knew the item was stolen, and he was in prison for receiving stolen property. Okay, he's someone that was looking for also free things. So we all have to be careful. There are an avalanche of cases that has happened in the past before that borders on this offense of receiving stolen property. Okay, now a burglary happened some time ago. The house was burgled and the rest, and the property was taken. So 2 hours later, they discovered the property with a man. Okay, so I think the matter was taken to court. The matter got to court. The court held that the person that the property was found in his possession 2 hours after the burglary was the thief. That's just it. it could be that the person wasn't the thief. Maybe he hold something for me and he held it, and that was how he landed in trouble. It could be. Okay, so that's why I normally stress on the fact that before you buy an item, always ensure you carry out due diligence. Okay, now another similar issue equally happened. Okay, a robbery occurred, or should I say some property were stolen, and 5 months after the property was stolen, they found the shoes in the possession of a man. Okay, the shoes was found in the possession of a man, and then the matter went to court. What did the court do? The court had to hold the person guilty. The court was to the effect that since he was found in the possession of that shoe 5 months after the shoe was stolen, that the person received the property knowing fully well that the item was stolen, and as such, that was how he found himself in prison. Okay, but there is also an exception to this rule. And which is to the effect that if the stolen property have been converted to another thing and then given to another person, then the person cannot be held to have received stolen property. Let me give an illustration. Let's say, for instance, an item, maybe a television was stolen, and the thief that stole the television converted it. Maybe he sold the television and bought maybe a fan, and he now took the fan and gave it to another person, and the person that he gave it to was aware that the thief stole a television and converted it to a fan and gave it to another person and gave it to him, and he collected, and he was aware. Even if the matter goes to court, the person that collected the fan cannot be held guilty of receiving stolen property, because the property has already been converted. But if it was that the TV was given to him directly to hold, or it was given to him directly to buy or something, then he can be held guilty of receiving stolen property. So that's just it. That's just what the law entails. So please, before you buy an item, conduct due research. Ensure you ask questions. Item bought at night in a hidden place at an outrageous price, in a place that is not a market, it raises eyebrow to all these things. Okay, so I want you all to know that ignorance of law is not an excuse for the fact that you don't know what law entails. If you eventually fall into trouble and you go to court, it will not excuse you at all. Okay, so that is why you should stick to this channel to keep hearing beautiful little life stories as well as what the law entails from me. Alright, so click on the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. It is important to turn on the bell notification because whenever I post a video, you are going to get notified that I've posted a video. And watching my video will assist you in being on track as not to breach the law and find yourself in prison or problematic case may be. Okay, so do have a lovely day ahead.